Well, welcome back. We have a special guest with us today, Susan Latremoille. And as Susan and I met through Strategic Coach here probably 3, 4 months ago. And in fact, you were visiting your daughter in Australia, which I thought was really cool, and spent some time there. But anyway, it's been so great to know you, Susan. And I wanted to introduce you to the financial advisors that are using FDC Plan on Purpose. And the why is because when we use FDC Plan on Purpose, we're already a different type of an advisor. And notice I didn't say smarter, I'm not that guy, but a different type of advisor, meaning rolling up our sleeves, asking questions about long-term care, asking questions about purpose, asking questions about Social Security and tax planning and Roth conversions and all those type of things, and then using FDC Plan on Purpose to basically outline those so that the client can follow along with us as they get a lifetime plan score. And so I want to go there with you, but before then, let's back up a little bit. Tell us where you're at now and kind of what your business model is. And I know you have a business partner as well. So let's just talk about who is Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors and why do you exist?
Okay. Well, thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me today. Hello, financial advisors. I was just one of you for 38 years, actually. Started my career with Merrill Lynch, moved to RBC, and then ended the last 15 years with Richardson Wealth, an RIA type firm. And it was really my experience as a financial advisor that informed what I'm doing now. I thought that my job was done when my clients had enough money to retire comfortably and live happily ever after. And
Yeah.
then, because of the decades that I worked with the same people, I started to notice as they sold their businesses or stepped away from their careers and professions that many of them were not as happy as they thought they would be in this next phase of their life. And I'd
Mhm.
always prided myself on being holistic. And I thought, well, something's missing. If they're not happy, they can have all the money in the world, but that's a problem. And it
Yeah.
harks back to a book that I wrote in 2006 called The Rich Life, Managing Wealth and Purpose. Because I think there has to be a connection between having money and having a purpose for that money. And I saw
Mhm.
so many clients just chasing returns but never really thinking through what the value or purpose of that money could be in their lives or for helping someone else. So, anyway, fast forward, end of 2019, I sold my wealth practice and decided to devote the next phase of my career to the non financial side of this next chapter, or as it used to be called, retirement planning phase of life. And so I became a certified professional retirement coach through the Retirement Coaches Association, and through that, had the good fortune of meeting my business partner, Marianne Osher, who had been a relationship coach, also a retirement coach. And we decided that we needed to really serve two audiences. One was helping people individually or as couples, one on one or one as with a couple, to actually plan this next chapter of their life post their career or business. And the other missing piece was really education for financial advisors on how to even talk to their clients about this kind of thing, about personal planning. Let's face it, Brad, when you and I went through our training, we learned all about stocks and bonds and markets and currencies and interest rates and everything but how to have a conversation that was
Mhm.
not so technical with clients.
That's
And
right.
we find today that most advisors don't go beyond, well, so what are you going to do when you retire? Which is about the worst question you can ask somebody, especially if they don't have a clue or they've bought into what we call the Hollywood version of retirement, which is, I think I'll go to Florida and play golf. We hear that a lot. So that's what really led us to doing what we're doing, is filling this need for both people, business owners and professionals that step away, as well as for financial advisors that want to really walk the talk on being holistic.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. You and I have that in common. One, the purpose, two, financial planning. But, we both wrote a book around that purpose. My Fish Don't Clap book is a parable around that same story. Like, how do we help people retire to something instead of from? And so I love the fact that now this is your vertical, this is your niche, this is where you live, and helping people do that. So now that you're not picking stocks and bonds anymore, how do you thread that needle? How are you working and helping financial advisors to show up better for these clients and getting better outcomes so everybody wins?
Right. Well, a couple of things that we're currently doing is that we hold sort of introductory master classes. And these are 1 hour sessions where we're introducing how to have the conversation. We're giving them some sort of gentle scripts. We're
Hmm.
teaching them what the challenges of people are that don't have a plan. We know them as the 5 Ds, the risks that people go through. So the discouragement that they get, even depression, the disagreement with either business owners, the new business owner, or spouses at home, divorce, which happens at this stage of life, unfortunately, disability. How often do we hear of people having a heart attack or a stroke after they retire? And then, of course, early demise is a 5th D. So we
Hmm.
want advisors to be aware of these 5 Ds, the challenges of what people face at this stage of life, and then equip them with tools and resources to actually speak with their clients and help them. So the master class is really an introduction to that conversation, but we realize you can't absorb it and learn it all and have all the tools in an hour. So on May 28th, we're launching the first cohort of our certificate in next chapter personal planning. And that will be a 5 module live session, 90 minutes each, every Thursday, starting on May 25th. And by the
Okay.
end of that program, they will have everything we know and everything we can offer. It's a complete opening up of all of our tools and resources and the training to fully equip financial advisors. They will earn a certificate, which if they are CFPs, they'll get 9 CE credits for the program. And if
Okay.
they're CEPAs, certified exit planning advisors, they also get 9 credits towards their continuing education. So
Okay.
the program itself will be live, where there is a tiny bit of prep for each session if people choose to do that. The sessions will be live and quite interactive because there's a tremendous richness when advisors can come together and discuss something of mutual interest.
Right.
So I'll just cover quickly what the 5 modules cover. The first one is, well, what is personal planning anyway, and why is it important? Then we move to how to discover personal readiness in clients. You know, you as a financial advisor and all of your financial advisors prepare people financially for their
Yeah.
retirement. But there's this whole question of really, am I ready? And we see some people postponing this event transition in their lives, and they do it because of fear or uncertainty about the future. So how do you really determine if someone is ready? Then we move to the conversation, having high impact readiness conversations with people. We unveil the happiness portfolio framework, which is the methodology that we've developed to look at life in 8 areas, all non-financial. And then we wrap up the 5th session with integrating personal planning into your practice. And that's where your tools come in, Brad, and your financial advisors who are already in your program can now start to integrate the happiness portfolio and the personal planning side into the methodology that you have developed. And
Yeah.
so I feel that's the full circle for them. They've come from maybe just innocently asking the questions, what are you going to do when you retire? Which is the naive way,
Yeah.
to being a true advisor and helping people really think about it. And then, of course, there's the whole integration piece. Once you've made a life plan, there are tremendous financial implications. They can affect your insurance, your estate plan, your investment portfolio, your need for income, your need for capital. So it's very important to be really clear, the client to be really clear on what their next plan, chapter life plan looks like, so their
Mm.
financial advisor can start to integrate that into the financial planning and ultimately into the financial products and services that they use.
Yeah. If you're doing goal-based investing or those type of things, like you got to match the investments up with those things that are coming out of that happiness portfolio, right?
Precisely, precisely. And just
Yeah.
take one of the 8 areas of the happiness portfolio. We call it a portfolio because, like any good portfolio, it has different asset classes and it also has to have a degree of balance and a degree of diversification. So, a balanced life and a diversified life, and these important 8 areas. The one area that's really most important for financial advisors to know and understand is the professional intentions of their clients. We see, you know, when some people sell a business and they have a big 6 figure, bigger 7, 8 figure financial windfall as a result of it, are they going to take some of that money and invest it in a new business if they have that sort of serial entrepreneur mentality? So
Yeah.
other people will say, you know, I've been financially successful. Another asset class of the happiness portfolio is giving back. So again, financial advisor is needed to help set up the philanthropic structures for someone like that. Some people will go make this transition from, I've always had a paycheck, an income stream, cash flow, and now there's nothing coming in except income from my retirement plan. So there's a mental shift that has to take place, but there's also a financial shift that the advisor should be well aware of and help the client plan for.
Right. So when you go through going back to what you're kicking off here in May, are you going to get into the happiness portfolio there?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So the happiness portfolio will be a whole one on June 18th. That will be the subject of the model is the happiness portfolio.
Yeah.
And the foundation of that is based on the book that I wrote, The Rich Life, Managing Wealth and Purpose, and the newer edition, which is 9 steps to a rich life retirement, live well, give back, leave a legacy. So when an advisor finishes the program, included in and I should tell you the investment in it is $15.97 for the program, which includes a subscription for 1 year to all of the tools and resources. So they
Okay.
will get the happiness portfolio workbook, which is something that they can give to a client or discuss with a client and then drop the findings into the framework that you have.
Hmm.
They'll get the personal readiness scan, which is a quick 10-minute assessment. Is someone, they may be financially ready, but are they personally ready to make this step of moving away from their career or business? And they will get all of the webinar recordings. We have monthly articles that are evergreen that they can drop into a newsletter. There's just a ton of resources that they can use. And the happiness portfolio framework is a key one that will coincide with the work that they're doing on your platform as well.
Yeah, that's great. So for the users of FTC Plan on Purpose, if you decide to work with Next Chapter and work on happiness portfolio, we have those criteria built in as a gap in that section for you advisors to use. So just know that that's there and ready to go if you choose to go that route. So, we'll tell you at the end how to get in touch with Susan and Marianne and their team and that kind of thing. Help me take me through. So I'm a financial advisor. I have a client that's going to go through a life event, meaning sell a business. They're going to have that 6, 7 figure happen to them. But there's all those things I'm a SEPA as well. There's all these things that kind of creep in, like worrying about, am I making the right decision and what am I going to do in the future and things like that. If the financial advisor isn't astute to those things or wants some help, how do you and Marianne engage? Do you engage directly with the client then as well? How's that work?
Sure, we can do that. So it's kind of a done with you or done for you model for the financial advisor. So done with you means we give them the framework, the happiness portfolio. We guide them on how to have the conversations. And many clients will be able to take that and run with it on their own. But if they need more help, and we do find that people do need more help because this is a whole new area, it's a whole new time of life and they've never experienced before. So some will say, yes. And the job of the financial advisor kind of ends there. You're not trying to make the advisor into a therapist, a life coach, nothing like that. That's not the job. But it
Yeah.
is important to know when to hand them off. So if the client needs more help, then we have our 5-step game plan process. And it starts with an assessment called Success Finder that taps into their motivations and their lifestyle priorities at this stage of life. And that's really important because one size doesn't fit all when it comes to planning a next chapter. Even though people say to a client, well, you should volunteer or you should travel more or you should up your golf game. No, it's a very individual thing. And so
Yeah.
the assessment is self-knowledge for the person. Even more importantly, if they have a spouse, it's important that both of them do it because it's quite common that couples will be on different pages when it comes to how they want to spend their next chapter. And I can give you stories about that, which, don't always end so well.
Yeah.
So it starts with the Success Finder assessment, and then we take over and do some quite in-depth thinking, writing, some real introspection about what truly that person, what is their purpose? Who do they
Sure.
want to be in their next chapter? And then we start to evolve into the clarity matrix, which is when they start to see the light and get excited about it. Then we use the happiness portfolio to develop out each of the 8 asset classes. And then we don't just say, here's your plan. We do rewirement check-ins, we call it. So after they've started to implement the plan, are there places they need to course correct? For example, if they said, I really want to learn Spanish. So they sign up for a course, they go to a couple sessions, and then they say, it's not really for me. So how do you course correct? They have ideas of things they want to do, but they don't always follow through on them. So we're kind of like that personal trainer you'd have in
Sure.
the gym, where we want to hold them accountable to some extent, but we want to be there to guide them as they change over a period of 6 months. The
Yeah.
outcome of going through the game plan process is clarity for sure. I didn't know what I was going to do. Now I've got a picture. I've got more than a picture. I have a plan. Confidence to say, now I can confidently move ahead to start to live that kind of life. And then,
Yeah.
of course, the community that they develop around them. It really, when we see people that come in when they're kind of foggy or they don't really know, some people actually retire, think they're going to be happy. And then 6 months or a year later, they just say, well, it's my bucket list. It's done. Now what? I'm really in good health. I'm going to live another 30 years. Then what?
Yeah.
So, they come in at a kind of a low point, and then they leave when they finish the program. They're really clear, really happy, and, can get on with the rest of their life. And actually on our website, we have some video interviews with people that have gone through the program. And
Yeah.
so they've talked about their experience. I can tell you lots of stories. I know we don't have the time for it now, but in the program, in the certificate program, we'll have time to delve into this more.
Yeah. Yeah. And, ultimately, what you don't want to do is have a confused seller either. You don't want that family patriarch, or business owner, husband and wife get to the 11th hour selling and say, I don't know, because they haven't been through these steps that you're talking about.
That's
You,
right. And that happens so
sure.
frequently, Brad, and you've seen it as I have, where they pull back at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
And that's what we teach the advisor, to see those flags, those
Mm,
red flags of
yeah.
what they're not going to follow on. And I
Yeah.
want to I don't like to do a ton of statistics, but I do think there are two that are really important. One is that 75% of business owners regret exiting within the first year. And I
Mm,
think that is too high a number. And that number was originally done by the Exit Planning Institute in their State of Owner Readiness Survey. And then PwC and Cornell University did another study and got the same statistic. So that is something that a financial advisor has a role to play. It's making sure there's no regret, not because of the financial piece, but because of that personal piece. The
right.
other stat is that 80% of business owners move advisors after their transaction. And I actually had this experience as an advisor firsthand. I was managing his retirement money because all of the big wealth was tied up in his aerospace parts company.
Yeah.
I was with an independent firm. RBC was doing the deal. I thought I had a great relationship with him and his wife. And sure enough, after the deal was done, he moved everything to RBC and I
Mm,
lost out. And I look back and I think, had I had the ability, and then the story of what happened to him is quite sad, because with this 100 million that he made, he thought he could buy happiness. So he started spending money like crazy. And of course, that doesn't ever lead to happiness. And I just think, if I had had the knowledge of what I know today and the tools and resources what I had today, I could have really been their ally through this and
yeah.
made sure that they would live their life they wanted, properly planned, with the windfall, not really windfall, his hard-earned exit money that he accomplished. And
Yeah.
so I think that we can prevent that statistic as financial advisors from doing the right things with our business owners. Well, someone else focuses on the deal and how much money you're going to make and the valuation. We can focus on the life. You're a SEPA as well as I am. We all know about this success to significance. And I think, who wants to die just having had a significant business? It's all about having a significant life. And
Yes.
that's why we call it the rich life. So
Yeah.
it's really taking a very holistic perspective for financial advisors to be able to really walk the talk on that holistic bit.
Yeah. And if you want to show up and be different and make sure everybody wins, then that's exactly what we're talking about. How do
Yeah,
people get
touch
with
on
you?
a differentiation point, because that's the issue today, is that products are commoditized, services are commoditized. So how do you differentiate and keep earning the big fees you earn if you charge on assets under management?
Yeah. It's exactly why FTC Plan on Purpose allows people to be different and show up differently as well. So yeah,
Exactly.
that clarity. We'll put some links and send it to them. But where can people find out more information about Next Chapter, the Happiness Portfolio? What's that look like, Susan, to engage with you guys?
So, first of all, our website is nextchapterlifestyleadvisors.com. My email address is susan at nextchapterlifestyleadvisors.com. And I'm easy to find on LinkedIn as well. So, I really encourage people to reach out if they want to find out more about the certificate in Next Chapter Personal Planning. We will be having an information session on June 11th, but they're welcome to get in touch with me, and or the link to register is on the first page of the website as well. So I really invite people to explore this and to become very knowledgeable about this really new frontier in planning. And if you're a SEPA, you know the three legs of the stool. Personal planning is one of those three legs, and we know a stool can't stand unless all three legs have equal length and attention. So it's really the leading edge of where planners are going is personal planning.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to share with what's going on, and we're here to support you. And if there's anything we can do, let us know.